Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today, we've got another Gun Gripe episode for you. All right, we're going to pose a really interesting question, right? In this environment and the way that everything's happening right now in our country with gun rights and everything, you know, firearms and several types of things like that are very, very expensive, obviously ammunition. So we want to pose the question, is there anything in the gun world that's affordable right now? Well, we're going to dive into this subject, so it's going to be fun, and I think you'll be surprised at the answer. I would like to take a moment to thank our friends at Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI is a great resource if you're wanting a career in gunsmithing technology, firearms technology, and wanting to further yourself in that type of development. They've got some great financial aid programs, GI Bill, all that good type of stuff. If you're a military veteran, maybe you want to, take a course. They have some wonderful distance learning programs, and they are definitely the go-to people for that type of education. So check them out. SDI is a friend of Gun Gripes, and we appreciate their support of videos like this. Okay, so we're going to dive into the question. We've sort of, laid this out into some different categories that we'll dive into. The answer, as I'm sure you probably figured out by now, yes, there are things out there, accessory-wise, that are quite expensive, or inexpensive right now, or at least normal price. I don't want to use the term inexpensive because it's certainly not, but I think that people tend to get very blindsided, right, when it comes to, all right, I'm going to buy a gun and ammo and things like that. They don't really think about all of the other peripheral accessories that go along with firearms. And as a result, people tend to not really pay attention to certain areas. Maybe that they should, right, but that they don't. And there are just certain areas within the firearms industry that items haven't really gone up in price that much at all. And other instances just in the general preparation side of things that, availability is really not quite as bad and prices have remained relatively stable on certain items.
They have. I think the problem that a lot of people have, we've mentioned this in other videos, is there's so many new gun owners and they need the immediate support of ammunition, okay, to be able to utilize those firearms. And that increased demand has really driven the prices on those goods up like crazy. I mean, I never would have ever thought that I would see price increases and just such an unprecedented demand on ammunition, especially. I mean, 9mm, 5.56, the prices are just astronomical. 22 ammunition. Just the other day, I went to look for some match grade 22 ammo, and I found one place that had Ely 10X in stock. I was like, wow, okay, it's about normal price. So I ordered a brick of it. While I went back, I was like, maybe I should get another brick just to have it in case, it gets crazy. It was all gone. And like Lapua ammunition, non-existent. So like 22's high, it's hard to find. Everything's just crazy. But
to be completely fair, I mean, on the ammunition front, while we're kind of on that topic,
yeah, I mean,
the Ely 10X ammo has always been kind of the top of the heap on ammo, right? You get into the Lapua offerings, even the Wolf Match Gold is certainly an upper tier offering. The Federal Match loads, Gold Medal Match, Federal ammunition, all of that stuff is top tier ammo. But the prices have not really gone up too tremendously, right? You're always going to get a little bit of an increase just because of the increased demand. And yes, the additional demand, even for the upper tier 22 offerings in Chad's case, is certainly there. But it's not as bad as the lower threshold of affordable ammo gets raised almost to the price of the more expensive stuff. So,
like match ammo really hasn't gone crazy. I mean, like Gold Medal Match, 77 grain, like open tip match, 5.56 stuff. The increase is definitely not quite as proportional, on the match side of things as it is to the bulk, like plinking ammunition.
Yeah, the cost of plinking ammo has certainly gone astronomical. The price of guns has gotten astronomical. So how do we beat back this evil monster of inflation, right? Well, the way that we look at this is, just don't buy the stuff that's crazy expensive, right? So guns and ammo might be out of bounds for some of you, or maybe you do have the basics and you're thinking, all right, well, what can I do to help my overall situation? Well, there's tons of different accessories and things. Oddly enough, magazines have not really been too incredibly difficult to obtain of many, many different types. Like, here's a good example, this US Palm. I picked this clear AK mag up the other day at my local gun shop up Quiet Right, and it was $12, $13, something like that. I mean, that's I mean, that's for a U.S. Palm, and that's a good quality magazine. You know, same thing with PMags. I mean, this is an AK PMag. These are like $14.
Yep.
And that's the normal price. I mean, for the most part, you can still go on Brownells or wherever, or Sinclair, and you could pick yourself up, you know, PMags for $12 or whatever. I mean,
now, they might limit you on the quantity. I mean, they are doing quantity limitations, but the prices really haven't gone crazy. It's not like the prices have doubled on magazines.
Right. Good example. Okay, some 20-round PMags. I was, you know, going to do, well, we did a video the other day on this BCM special purpose rifle that we put together. You probably saw it maybe in a few other videos, but I realized, like, crap, I don't have a lot of 20-round mags. So I went and ordered some 20-round PMags. Now, obviously, a lot of places are going to limit you on quantity, but the price, knock on wood, relatively normal, what it's supposed to be. So the price hasn't really increased on magazines, so that's one good example.
So another example would be like, just in my case, last year, not exactly gun related, but just kind of to get to the point that I want to make here. But early on, I started a garden back up last year. If you guys saw some of our self-reliance videos, you know this, but I started my garden back up after a long hiatus, and gardening stuff was a little bit hard to find. Seeds were hard to find, okay? But this year, seeds, canning supplies, gardening supplies, they're relatively available, okay? Stock's coming in, and there's not quite as high a demand. There still is a good demand. It's over what is normal, but you are able to find what you need out there, okay? Same thing goes with like communications equipment. All right, well, guns and everything started to become not available. Ammunition was like skyrocketing in price. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just focus on buying radio gear. So I just put my money that I would normally budget for gun things and all that toward communications equipment. And it was something I needed to do anyways. Well, got that out of the way. I was like, okay, well, what's next on the list? Okay, support gear. All right, like body armor, battle belts. All right?
Yes, so, absolutely.
Now look, this is not a cheap setup, and I pieced this together over months. Okay, but
before you get into that, I want to just quickly mention one more thing about the canning and stuff. So when we did the canning episode on pressure canning the venison, we had the all-American canner and stuff. You know, we have our Amazon links down there. So like when you go to the Amazon store, you can find all that stuff we use in those videos. So like everything from flats and jars, canners, all of that different stuff that we use, right? You'll see if you check it out that the prices have remained relatively you know, straightforward. Same thing on all the radio gear. All of the stuff that we talk about and use on a regular basis that can be sold and purchased on Amazon, we have in our Amazon store. So if you ever want to check it out, that's a great way you can support the channel in addition to getting the things you need readily and quickly. Anyway, just want to mention that.
One convenient location.
And then, he's right on the support gear, you know. I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot when I say this. Because now people don't know, now they will.
Oh boy.
Okay, but look, okay, here's a great example. Okay, Tactical Tailor, the older Blackhawk stuff. Like, I love the Blackhawk Rhodesian rigs, and I'm always scouting eBay, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go on eBay, and when I find those Rhodesian rigs, the old school ones, the old BPIs, the old Ranger rigs, I buy the heck out of them. And you can buy them used on eBay for like $80.
And then he goes to the gun show.
They're giving them away for $80. It's such a great piece of gear. And then the same thing on the Tactical Tailor stuff. When I deployed in 05, it's been a minute, but when I deployed in 05, I wanted some Tactical Tailor mag pouches. And this was like this was when he was still working like out of his garage, making stuff on a industrial sewing machine by himself and everything. And I remember contacting him and, hey, how much is some mag pouches? Well, I don't know the owner of Tactical Tailor personally, but he sent me the mag pouches for free and wouldn't accept my money because I was deploying. He gave me those mag pouches. Just thought that was an interesting little point there to mention.
And he made a lifetime customer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love Tactical Tailor gear, but as much of Tactical Tailor's gear is issued and has NSN numbers associated with them now, and they actually have military contracts, you can find a lot of the Tactical Tailor stuff used on eBay as well and on the surplus end, and you can get some great gear for a really fair price on the used market.
Well, when I went looking for like a newer carrier, I had an old Desert Storm era carrier that was given to me forever ago, and I'm like, okay, I maybe need to update my armor carrier. And I was talking to our buddy Matt, who does the podcast and everything with Eric. All right, so if you guys don't know about the podcast, you need to go check out Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit. Another shameless plug. But
Shameless plug.
He recommended some of the ATS gear, and they're based out of Tennessee, I believe, but it's all like handmade, U.S. made stuff. And I kind of balked at the price initially. I'm like, ooh boy, I'm gonna have to split this up a little bit. So I bought plate carrier, put my plates in it, and then I started getting some of the stuff from Wilder Tactical, some of the mag pouches and things.
The tacos.
Tactical tacos. And then I got the hydration carrier, medical pouches and stuff from them. I placed, I think 4 or 5 orders with ATS over the course of several months. And it's just when money was available and just got what I needed and started putting together this particular rig here. And I've got some extra little goodies and stuff in here, some extra tools, medical stuff, and all that happy crap.
You got those Chem lights?
Those are Chem lights.
Where'd you get those? Where'd you get the Chem lights?
Amazon, of course.
Amazon?
And then this is pretty cool. This is a Streamlight Clip Mate. So I saw some guys running these, and it's a little red and white, like pin light sort of deal. You can just turn this on, and you can see what the hell you're doing.
You got some pistol mags. You got a cat tourniquet and a taco over there. Now,
extra gear.
I don't understand why you bought those Chem lights. There's a crater on Route Tampa in Iraq that has like 2,000 Chem lights in it.
A crater, huh?
You don't have to buy them. You can just go pick them up off the side of Route Tampa. There's like a giant hole in the road. And when you're going by at night, every gunner would throw a Chem light in this hole so that you wouldn't wind up in the hole. But as a result, it's like this thick.
Yeah, but those are spent Chem lights.
Well,
I mean, I can't use those.
They are. That's a lot of tax dollars in that hole.
Oh, God almighty.
Just saying.
But like same thing with the battle belts. All right, this is ATS battle belt, and then I just started accessorizing. And some of these things I already had. Like I had a Mutt, Leatherman. All right, and Eric turned me on to the Raptors. Okay, some more Wilder Tactical pouches and stuff with flashlights and whatnot in there. A little Ragnarok holster for the Glock 17.
Those are folding med shears.
Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Another full trauma kit, with information on it, some mag carriers. Just a few oddball things. One of the ATS dump pouches on the back here. So you can fold that out
it folds
for your
up
magazines and stuff, because I don't want to lose these mags. I mean, But anyway, it's just... And you don't have to buy everything at one time. I mean, I pieced this together over like 8 months, and just as money came in and my budget would allow it, because I mean we were not going out as much, going out to eat. I wasn't spending much on groceries and things because I was growing a lot of my own food. So all the extra money that I had, I just put it into gear that I've been putting off for a while just because of the expense.
Yeah, a great point there is that, when the price is really high on certain commodities, and let's just say in this case guns and ammunition, well, definitely ammunition, that you can certainly, put your money in other places. You probably should have already budgeted for some support gear anyway. So it's one of those
things. It was a mistake I made over time. I just never really put money into that, and I was like, you know what, it's probably a good time to start looking at this. And demand was high, so the wait times were long. All right, a lot of times, I mean, it'd be like a month before my orders would ship, but by the time my previous order shipped, I could get a new order in and just kind of get it back in that cycle again.
Yep. And you're not in a hurry, you just kind of piece it together as you go.
Piece it together and just waiting on it to show up. And I mean, it finally showed up and everything, and now I've got good support gear, and this is quality stuff. It was a little bit more expensive than what you could buy that was maybe imported, but this is gear that was handmade and it'll last a lifetime, even under some pretty good use.
I did the same type of thing with Kyle Lamb's company, Viking Tactics. I did my battle belt setup using a lot of his gear, and I really like his stuff. And I've been really digging the London Bridge Trading too. They do some really great stuff. And again, just shameless plug, and this is just a reality plug, not so much anything else, but eBay, again. Go over to eBay. All right, or Amazon, but mainly eBay. And on the used market, I mean, you can pick up some great gear used. It's out there, so worth looking at. So support gear, magazines, really not, knock on wood, too terrible. I guess another form of support gear would be things like hearing protection. I mean, people don't necessarily always think about the little things, right? Like Howard Light Ear Pro or any type of Ear Pro you want.
You're wanting to get a few extra sets of Howard Lights or something, or just a few extra sets for your family, or a few extra sets just in case something goes down. Batteries and things to support this kind of equipment. I mean, the wraps. Like this is a flatline fiber wrap. Anything like that you've been wanting to accessorize.
Name tags.
I mean, just instead of spending money where it's crazy to spend it right now, unless you really desperately need it, then focus your efforts on other things that are reasonably priced and available. And then when things get back to normal, which they will get back to normal at some point, I think, right? You think so?
I think that's the general idea. I mean, when you go to these different places and you're shopping, right? I mean, you just got to think savvy. You got to be a savvy shopper. I mean, like if I'm at the grocery store and I walk by, now this wouldn't be the case right now, but traditionally, like if I walk by and there's ball jar flats on sale for 30% off, or they're moving, jars on sale or something. Well, then pick up some jars. Or if this wouldn't really be the case at your local shop, but like say that there was a flat of CR123 somewhere that you could get for a reasonable price. Or, all right, a better example would be you're at your local shop or maybe cruising through your local Home Depot or something, and they're running those big old flats of AA's and AAA's on sale for 30% off or something.
Yep.
Take advantage of those little moments where be an opportunistic buyer and be a savvy buyer when it comes to this type of stuff. Search through your local bin at your local gun shop that has the stuff they mark down. You might find a great piece of gear in there. There's always a random bin with stuff that they're just trying to get rid of.
It's like that movie bin at Walmart, that's just like the big cage, and you can kind of like put your kid in there and just go diving, find me aliens. I want all 3 of the original Alien movies. Thank you. It's like, there it is.
I'm becoming more and more like Ripley every single day. I'm telling you. Look, I'm not kidding, man. Look, surrounded by aliens. All right. I'd rather be asleep for 52 years, floating in the vacuum of space, than be around people. That's accurate. I'd probably, destroy a monster or fight a monster over my cat or dog. That's pretty freaking true, right? I probably would be willing to duct tape a flamethrower to my AR. Totally valid. That's completely logical. I totally would do that, right? So this is something to think about there.
Yep. All right. So speaking about magazines, all right, like I was at my local shop the other day, just, hanging out with the kids for a little while to get them off my wife's back for a bit, and get them out of the house for, the police
and
showed
you bought
up.
some Lulas.
And I bought some Lulas. I'm like, I've been needing some Lulas for a while, so we've been using a pistol Lula for a while at the range and stuff. I'm like, man, I think I got to get me one of them things. So I picked these up and a few other little odds and ends. Things like
a great piece of gear. I like them.
Things like hog saddles and pig saddles. We've been using these for a good long while, and I use this for everything from mounting a spotting scope in, at the range, or mounting a firearm in when we're out hunting coyotes or hogs or whatever the case is. That way you've got kind of a mobile shooting platform. It's real stable. And I've run cameras on this before, with the ball heads and things. It's a great piece of gear. These aren't really cheap, but it's a high quality piece of gear that the price hasn't gone up on. So if you're interested in getting something like that, then now's a good time to kind of buy it.
So on this particular device, I will just add that there are 2 different iterations of this particular product, 2 basic iterations. The hog saddle and the pig saddle. The 2 differences is one is a stamped steel construction, so it's a little bit cheaper, and then this one is obviously machined alloy, so it's going to be a little more expensive. So just bear that in mind. There are a few different versions of that.
Yep. Also, scopes. Things like the spotting scope. All right. So recently upgraded to a new Leupold spotter. This is one of the like Gold Ring Mark IV type spotters and all with a TMR reticle in it, and for years, we've just been using Vortex spotters, which aren't bad at all. The razors are excellent, but I needed something that had milling capability. So we could, I could be a better spotter at range and be able to adjust things on the fly, for a shooter that I might be spotting for, whatever the case is, or using some of the matches, like the matches that Jack Luba and Ash Hess have been putting on down at Arena. I've been shooting those a lot, and a lot of the guys down there have been using these Leopolds, and I just fell in love with them. But having that milling capability is extremely handy. And the old Vortexes that we have, I couldn't just retrofit them. The newer ones, you could retrofit the eyepiece to have a reticle in it and be able to get that capability. Unfortunately, the ones that we have don't have that option. But anyways, this one's got a little Vortex red dot, a little razor sitting on top of it, so you kind of zero your red dot. with your spotter, and that way you can just look through your red dot, get where you need to be, and then you're right on point with your spotter instead of having to hunt around. And then this one's been in, I've had all my spotters running in one of these Kinetic Development Group optics hubs for a while, and I picked this up from Optics Planet at least a couple of years ago, and it gives you the mounting capability with M-LOK, to put different accessories and stuff on the outside of it. It's just an awesome little piece of kit. And
That's right.
Optics and things, just general like rifle scopes and stuff, they haven't really gone up in price either, and they're extremely available. So if you were waiting on a good time to accessorize some of your firearms, I mean, buying an optic, buying some backup sights, buying flashlights, slings, all kinds of other accessories and things, now's a good time to do that and spend the money on that instead of, like I said before, I keep going back to this, but instead of spending money on things that are exuberantly priced, buy the stuff that's normal price. I mean, just save the money.
And those accessory slots there, you can run, D-balls if you want, or things, or illuminators, and also GLID.
Oh, yeah.
A GLID device, which is probably not exactly something civilians would need.
Well,
but you military guys have called in airstrikes and crap. You know what a grid laser identification device is. You basically you shoot you're looking through your spotter and you see what you want to destroy, and you shoot the laser, and it's an invisible laser. But then the guy up in the plane goes, "Oh, I'm going to drop a bomb where that laser's looking." That's kind of what that is.
We'll be seeing you.
I digress. I'm sorry.
Coltec gear. Okay.
Oh man,
so
this stuff is great.
We've been using Dustin's gear for years and years, and they're still making gear, okay? And they haven't really been, crazy hurt by anything and all, but their prices haven't gone up or anything crazy. So good support bags, shooting bags and such. This is one of my favorite things. I use it, it matches a good bit. This is a tricorn bag with their backbone system, so it goes on an Arca rail, and I mount this to the front of my rifle on a rail system, and I can move it fore and aft and get it in the position that I want. And this is great for like barricades and for you precision shooters out there that compete. These things are indispensable.
So, speaking of competition and just that kind of vein of existence for the shooting world, right? This is also a great time to get into maybe getting some training.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got your first gun, you've acquired some ammunition as best to your ability, at least what you can afford. I mean, training. Now, granted, okay, a lot of trainers are pretty booked up and busy, but it's not like the prices have gotten really too dumb or anything. I mean, the prices have maintained, relatively the same. And like, there's tons of great classes you can go and take, and that's a great option, right? So maybe in years past, maybe you've bought guns before when the prices were still pretty reasonable, and you've bought ammo when things were reasonable. And when you get some extra money, you're like, well, I'd rather buy another gun or some more ammo. I get it. We all do that. I completely understand. And it's easy to go, I'll get some training whenever. I'll defer it to whenever. But now is a great time to maybe seek out some of that training, put that money towards that instead of buying the more expensive things. Also, literature, books, right? Just as an example, okay? I got Doug Bowser's volume here, Rifles of the White Death. This is a volume on Finnish military, Finnish rifles, Mosins, things like that. Great book.
Years ago.
But again, the same type of thing, right? When you look at the availability of information in general, okay, you look at, again, not to put on the tinfoil hat, but you look at censorship, you look at, the censoring of available information to the end person that wants to learn about various things, right? We're not guaranteed that that's always going to be there, right, for us. So right now, while everyone is hyper-focused on, jacking up the prices on this or that or spending tons of money on guns or ammo, now is a great opportunity to go, hey, maybe I'll go down to the used bookstore and try to find some old reloading manuals that still have great information in them, or pick up some of these great old gun volumes, or maybe, an original copy of, Hatcher's Notebook, or the A-Square reloading manual. It's called Any Shot You Want. It's got so much data in it, it's not even funny. Tons of things, right? But even outside of gun volumes, books on gardening, self-reliance, self-preservation. You could go and use bookstores and find old back issues of Backwoods Magazine or whatever.
I love Backwoods, man.
Yeah. And so there's tons of great information out there, and you can buy it for pennies on the dollar because people are so fixated with these phones now. And don't get me wrong, they're a marvel of technology, but there is something to be said about having a hard copy of information that is always there for you.
Look, it's not uncommon at my house. I feel like an old man sometimes, but like it's not uncommon for me to get like my latest issue of Backwoods, and I'll just pull up in my chair and pull a blanket over me, and I just sit there and I'll turn the light on and I'll just flip through and, you know, get a ball canning book or something, or like a dehydrator book, and I go through with a Post-it notepad and start marking pages. I mean, and that's relaxing to me. I don't need to be in front of the phone all the time and be concerned with everything that's going on, because in a lot of cases, you're not going to be able to control all that mess out there. So really, why concern yourself with some of it? So,
you know, those volumes as well that have like the pill identification volumes and like the dangerous and safe plants and identification volumes. Those are great things to have, because you never know if you need to identify an edible plant or a poisonous plant, or if, you know, you found some random medication, you need to identify it, know what it is. All of those are just essential life skills that have gone the way of the dodo, because people just aren't fixated on the concept of being intelligent in terms of the world around them. And I don't mean like that they're dumb. I mean that like they are ignorant to the realities that surround them, right? And I think that it is important that we bring back the concept of just simple self-reliance.
Well,
and it's not being a crazy like prepper thing. Like, you know, back in the 80s and early 90s, this whole prepper movement was this real huge thing. There was a huge resurgence in the overall gun community and prepper community of this whole, you know, things are going to go crazy, and
Y2K.
Y2K and all that. And believe me, it was a legitimate concern, and probably still is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think that now what we look at, the everyday man in terms of self-reliance, is a much more measured and overall normal type of thing, right?
Well, it's very calculated nowadays. People are practical. I like to use the term practical prepper. I mean, you're just a person who has emergency preparedness on his mind or her mind, and you just go through the motions and you just get prepared as you need to. You don't have 50 years worth of dried food, you know, stored, because not everybody has space for all that. But you've got 3 or 4 months worth of dry goods and canned food and things. You've got medical supplies, you've got guns, you've got ammo. You're practically prepared for most emergencies that could, you know, come down the pipeline. You know, generator, things like that.
Sure.
I mean, you know, generators, you know, during like off season from hurricane season and such like that, and storm season and such, generators can be had for normal pricing. But, you know, after a storm, when everybody is in need of that, that's when price gougers come out, and then you're starting to pay 3 or 4 times what the generator should cost, just because they're in high demand. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be more prepared for that.
You don't go to the umbrella salesman when it's raining.
No.
Okay. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter.
So, like, one other thing, too, taking advantage of sales and things like that when they come up, all right? So, like, mirror safety, all right? They have these gas masks on sale a little while back. Actually, shameless plug for Mike over at Mr. Guns and Gear, but he posted a good sale on these. It was like 30 or so % off. I'm like, I'm sold, you know? So I went ahead and picked up a quality gas mask. Now,
you know what this is?
You can find, that's for your water.
Drink it, for your canteen.
Yeah, so I got a canteen and stuff with it, and hose and all that happy stuff. But like the gas canisters, I mean, they've got like a 20-year shelf life. So you want to talk about being practically prepared, you know, get a few of these for your family, get some for your kids and stuff, and just stash them away, and then, you know, you're good to go. Yeah. Also, like, if you're the kind of person who has like night vision gear and things, okay, you've been collecting guns forever, you know, you might have like a D-ball or some sort of other like laser aiming device, but now's a good time to get into some of that if you want to, like, save up your money and get a PVS-14, get a clip-on, get a laser aiming device. But anyways, just random stuff.
No, that's great. Quick note on gas masks. This is just super quick. You know, a lot of us have scruff and beards. Shave your face.
Shave your beard.
You know, and here's the thing. Like, at the time that if you think you're going to need a gas mask, it's probably too late anyway. Yeah. That's the issue, right? I mean, what am I going to do? Oh, give me 10 minutes. Let me go shave real quick. If you have facial hair, this mask will not seal. And one of the best ways that you can know if this mask is sealing or not, put the mask on. You'll have to leave the straps relatively loose. But when you put it on, tighten the straps down, put your hand over this, make a good seal, and breathe in. If it sucks into your face and it's tight, you know it's sealed.
See, I don't have to shave my hair because I don't have enough facial hair for it to matter.
Right. But bear in mind, if you do have a lot of facial hair, the mask will not seal.
So, like, just talking about night vision and stuff, for example, I've been looking at this device for quite a while, and I've never really wanted to spend the money on. I'm like, oh, God, I just don't want to spend the money because they're well over $1,000. Well, I scoured eBay again, of all places, and I happened to find Torrey Pines Logic was selling some of these zero lens accessories for the PVS 14.
Yeah.
And it's basically an optical device that allows you to zero the PVS to your daytime optic and use this as a clip-on. And the cost, if you guys are familiar with this kind of stuff, the cost of this setup is way, way lower than what a dedicated like PVS 22, 24, 27 would be. I mean, you can get in the tens of thousands of dollars for those devices. And this setup here, I mean, this was less than half retail.
The benefit of this as well is that, you can piece this together as you go. Like, all right, I found a PVS 14 for a decent price, get that. All right, then I got the Torrey Pines adapter, whatever. So you can kind of piece something like this together over time versus, getting into a PVS 22 or 24 or any of the, which those are great units, but they are, considerably expensive.
Yeah, I mean, we got some friends with them, but man, it's like they sold like they're older friends, okay, and they had transferable machine guns.
And this is the white phosphorus, which is awesome.
Yeah, they had maybe transferable machine guns, that they bought back in the early '80s and such, and back when they were actually reasonably affordable, and they would sell off a couple of those, and then they would buy some more like high-speed gear with that money that they got in. But a lot of us don't have that opportunity, of course, because we were kind of born, later on in life in the wrong era, to take advantage of that kind of thing. But just looking for the deals on stuff.
D-ball.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this. I've had this for a good while. I mean, I bought that one used.
Right.
So yeah. But just like if you have the ability, strike while the iron's hot on some of these deals and stuff. Well, like this, I just put it on my credit card. I'm like, all right, I'll just pay it off over the next couple of months. But it was just too good of a deal to pass up, and I've been looking at them for like 2 years.
That's right.
So when ammo and guns are high, look elsewhere.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's kind of the gist of the gripe. I mean, that pretty much steers y'all into that direction. Yeah. I mean, don't be afraid to look into other areas that are still within the vein of gun ownership, but that are not only commonly overlooked when things are normal, but especially right now when everyone is so fixated on all the stuff that is super expensive. People, it's like it's a psychological factor. People psych themselves out. It's reverse psychology, right? Someone goes, well, that gun is expensive and it's way more expensive than it used to be. It could be more expensive tomorrow. So they automatically go, well, I need to, like a moth to the flame. Oh, I've got to buy it because it might be more expensive tomorrow. Yep. Or they go, well, it's expensive. It must be good. There's that association that we have with things that cost a lot of money. We assume that they're good because they cost a lot, but don't necessarily get pigeonholed into that ideology when there are many things out there that represent an outstanding value, but at a cost that is no more than what it normally would be.
And don't get caught up in the panic either. Don't be one of those people that like, oh my God, everybody's out buying ammo. I must need to get some ammo too. I don't know. It's
unless you don't have any at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, at that point, I've told this to a few friends that just didn't have a good stock of ammo at all, and they just kind of got caught with the pants down. I mean, to say the least. But I'm like, look, go out, spend the money, buy what you need, not what you would like to have or like to stash. Like, now is not the time to be buying ammo to stash 2,000 or 3,000 rounds of each caliber.
No.
All right, now is the time to just buy what you need to fill your mags, maybe have an extra box or two to have something that you can defend yourself with, your home, you can carry on your person, whatever the case might be. Just the ammo that you need at that very moment, and just wait out the storm. Bottom line. I mean, so it's just the kind of common sense approach, and just be patient, because just focus your time and effort and everything on other things that are more meaningful, and don't get caught up in this whole panic and this craziness that's going on right now. It's just not worth it. I mean,
woosah. Everything will be okay. Woosah. Simmer down. Simmer down. It's going to be all right. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. We hope you learned something and maybe enjoyed our perspective. Is there something we forgot to mention? Or do you just totally disagree with us? Well, let us know. That's fine. We'll read the comments and laugh at them and then move on with life or whatever. But look, I would love to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for supporting us monthly. Those of you who purchase man cans over on the website, we've got some great medical gear boxes. Medical gear. That's a whole nother vein, but there's tons of medical gear out there. We actually have our medical gear man can that we're selling right now. If you pre-order it, great gear, a ton of great stuff that you can use for the money. So if you're looking to get a good blowout setup in the medical realm, we can certainly get you taken care of on that. We've got those ready to go right now. You can pre-order them right now over on our website. Ding. Billy Mays here. But anyway, or go over to Ballistic Ink. We've got a ton of great t-shirts, merch. We do have body armor over on Ballistic Ink for sale. Some great Oakleys, beanies, hats, jerseys, all kind of great gear. So check it out. And those are some of the most direct ways you can support the channel. So guys, have a great day. And girls, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.